Reports coming out of Spain this morning and in the early afternoon now suggest that Manchester United lead the race to sign Saul Niguez and to bring him to Old Trafford this summer. Of course, we had Dean Jones on the football terrace earlier on this morning that provided the updates that Saul Niguez's representatives have been touting him all over the Premier League for the majority of this summer and in previous seasons. Chelsea are looking at a loan deal at this player. Liverpool have had a number of advanced conversations with the player and the agency. Man City were even offered him a little while ago, but of course not interested at this moment in time. The British media are very much pushing that Chelsea are leading this race. The Spanish media now claim that a move to Manchester United is imminent. We're going to delve into the sources. We're going to give you the opportunity to have your thoughts, your feelings, your say on this deal. What is going to happen with Saul Niguez? The link to call in is pinned into our live comment section, but smash that like button, hit that share button. Another episode of the Done Deal Show. Let's do this. Yes, welcome back to the terrace. And what I love about this story, I'll get it out there right away. What I love about this story, it's the I don't want it to be true, so I'm going to discredit it. Terry's believing this, Terry's believing that. No, if you've been a viewer of the football terrace for 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, you'll know what we do here. When there's trending news, we talk about it. We present what the news is saying. I give my opinion, and we are the only fan channel on the planet that daily gives you the chance to phone up and have your say and give your opinions. It's weird that you attack the football terrace for sharing the news and allowing you to speak. Mad. Absolute madness. But the claims coming out of Spain, we see here pushed out by Sports Witness today, say that Manchester United are beating Chelsea to the midfielder. These claims, of course, have come out of outlet AS. Most people look at AS as being a very uncredible, unreliable source. And I think that is a fair claim to make. Personally, my thought is I don't believe Man United are leading this race. I don't believe that Manchester United are ahead of Chelsea in the pursuit of this player. But what I do know is that Manchester United have looked at the player this year. Man United have been considering bringing him into the football club. One of the stumbling blocks for Man United not pushing ahead with him earlier on in the summer was Paul Pogba. He was always looked at as being, if Paul Pogba leaves, we bring Saul Niguez in. 35 to 40 million pound signing is what was being suggested when Liverpool were in very advanced talks but with Atletico Madrid and the player. They, of course, couldn't agree on personal terms. They were only willing to offer about half of what his current base rate is. Now that a loan has been made available by Atletico Madrid, this could be some very inspired business from the likes of Chelsea, who I think are leading the race, and Man United that may seemingly still come in for him, because that means you will pay only a percentage of his wages. You can have a loan option, which means there is no real initial fee. There may be a very small loan fee to pay 1, 2, 3 million euros, which is sizably a much smaller commitment than buying the player. You can then install a non-obligation to buy clause, which is going to be highly unlikely with going into the last week of this window, meaning you can afford to bring in Saul Niguez alongside Paul Pogba and rotate and work things out. It means from Chelsea's point of view, they can bring in Saul Niguez and rotate him around the team. They haven't invested the salary and the transfer fee into the costings of this player. But do I personally believe these reports coming out of Spain that it's imminent, that Man United are leading the race as sort of direct as they say? I mean, they said the deal's happening. The Spanish, it says here that on Tuesday, the Red Devils are winning the race and are very close, and the player is close to leaving Atletico Madrid for good, with his destiny being the Premier League. They go on to the club. It says here, the club with the most ballots at the moment in Man United, who are beating Chelsea. They go on to claim that Man United's deal for Saul Niguez is imminent and could be closed out very soon. I don't believe it's as close as that. Do I believe Man United are interested? Absolutely. Do I think Man United are interested? But I believe it's Chelsea that are leading the way. I believe it's Chelsea that are pushing forward with this deal. I believe it's Chelsea who have more chance than any of the other Premier League teams of signing him right now. I still think, by the way, if Barca get their finances sorted and can afford to buy him and register him, that is where the player would want to go. That's my fervent belief. But Barca, of course, as we know, are in all kinds of financial trouble, and that is very, very difficult to get done. Billy T here says, afternoon, Terry. Are the Saul Niguez links to United credible or just mere speculation? So let's just not confuse the difference between connections to Man United and the imminent deal. They are two completely separate things. Don't read what AS are saying and say, it's nonsense because it's AS, therefore United are not interested. Man United have shown interest. Man United have made contact with representatives. Man United have looked at the Saul Niguez deal. They have sat down with the agency and reps of the player to look at what personal terms would be, to look at the prospects of bringing this deal into Old Trafford. That has fundamentally, no doubt about it, happened 100%. Is the deal imminent right now, right this moment? That's for anybody to decide whether they agree with that or not. What tends to happen with these transfers is two things that will happen here with these transfers. By the way, we're going to take your calls very, very soon. What tends to happen with these transfer deals is you will get all the Chelsea fans out right now, just find anything they can to discredit this story and remove all links. To a degree, I understand it, but Man United are interested in the player. At the same time, if you're a Man United fan, you're going to be looking at some way to validate this information so that you think that it's real. I would say forget the source to a degree and look at what the credibles have said. Who is interested? Yes, Chelsea. Yes, Liverpool. Yes, Man United from a Premier League perspective. Then you have to weigh up in your own mind who you think is leading the race. I think the most credible sources have said that it's Chelsea. That's where I'm vying towards. But do I think in this topsy-turvy world of transfers that at any moment Man United can suddenly say, you know what? We need that midfielder. Let's get it done. Could it change? If Man United strike while the iron is hot, if they move in quickly, yes. Doesn't mean AS are right or wrong in that regard at this moment, but Man United are definitely interested. I think that's the way I would weigh these situations up when talking about these deals. Chelsea fans are getting wrapped. Listen, every time I do a transfer story, I'll have a fan base that don't like it, that kick off and get angry. I actually had someone tweet me earlier, someone I respect, and he's like, AS put this out. You really shouldn't believe uncredible sources. It's like, bruv, you've been watching me for years. You know what we do on the terrace. But as I say, if the news right now was it was imminent and it come from a more credible source, or it was towards a particular club someone likes, they would say we've got to speak about it. We talk about the news. We gauge your views and opinions. That is the point. No Traore updates other than what we said earlier on today, only a few hours ago with Dean Jones. Orlando here says, what's the point of United getting him if Ollie won't use him? Send Ollie home before we are out of the race, is what Orlando Clark's got to say. Yeah, I do think that the situation with I do sort of feel the situation with I'm forgetting his name now. With Saul Niguez is interesting though. The one thing I want to draw on is what Fabrizio said last night about Donny. You know how last night he spoke about Donny wants game time and he didn't say Donny would look to move away. He didn't say Donny was going to pull away. He was going to pull away or put a request in. But there was that comment about just watch out for Donny. These are the things that get my mind racing when it comes to transfers. What I get excited about when it comes to transfers. Could Donny say, get me out? Could a deal happen where Donny leaves on loan, but then Man United backfill with Saul Niguez? If so, is that an upgrade? That's how these things can change very quickly. And that's why I say Chelsea lead the race, but don't write Man United off at this moment in time, especially as we go into the final week of the transfer window. Everything accelerates quickly. We are now at the point. The reason this loan deal has even come about is because everybody's been buying their time. Nobody wants to pay Saul Niguez the 300,000 euros a week that he wants to be paid. Nobody wants to give that to him. What's that in pounds? About 230? You know, he's 230,000 pound a week he wants to be paid, right? So you're talking like 11, 12 million pound a year. If you can get him on a year loan with a non-obligation to buy, you might be able to pick him up year one cost of say 5-6 million. Have a try before you buy. If he kills it, then you don't mind giving Atletico Madrid £30 million and 200 grand a week. If he does a bad job, can't break into the team, doesn't hack the Prem, it's cost you a few million quid. Bit of backup. But it's only now that it's accelerating because the deal is more favorable to the purchasers in this market, in this climate. It actually means you could probably commit to this deal without the necessity of having to sell somebody. So that's why things accelerate more at this point. It's why the West Hams haven't gone hell for leather up until now for the Zumas, for the Lingards, as an example. They are holding off until this final week of the window. Get your comments in, ladies and gentlemen. Any super chat questions you've got, of course, we prioritize them for you as always. Smash that like button for us, though. Where do you think Saul Niguez is going? The votes have been put in here. 44% of you think Chelsea. 43% of you think Manchester United. Just 7%. Just 7% here voting for Liverpool Football Club. And I want to ask Liverpool fans this question before we go to the calls here. How gutted would you be? How gutted would you be if Man United or Chelsea pitch you to this player? You've spoke at least 3 times to the representatives. Advanced talks have taken place. You've pushed for the deal. How gutted would you be if the deal fell through for you and it goes to one of your rivals? A lot of Liverpool fans, Liverpool 110% interested. You know what I mean? And I am updating, by the way, the Football Terrace transfer emojis because people are getting confused. I'm getting to a point where eventually it's going to be like an encyclopedia. I'm going to have to explain every single meaning for every single tweet. But they are up on the screen in case you get confused with their emoji use. Let me just zoom in a little bit closer here. As you can see, transfer on, transfer off. Advanced talks are clubs and players negotiating fees and salaries. If that isn't advanced, I don't know what is. Done deal. That's when the fees agreed. Personal terms are personal terms. Bid rejected. Getting closer. Deal complete is like total agreement, all parties. And then we have the official announcement end, which is at the end, right? We've added that in. And the reason I've had to add that in when it comes to talking transfers is because once a deal's announced, once Man United put a tweet out saying we've come to an agreement with Real Madrid, I then don't care about it. I don't care if it takes 5 more weeks to be completed, like as in officially announced. Couldn't care less about the intro videos. I'm not a child. All I care about is the deal being complete between the clubs, and then we move on. So just want to give an update on the emoji uses that we have. That is what they mean. Very open, very transparent in relation to that. Grizz Khan said Mbappe to Liverpool. No. Someone here says these emojis are confusing. Bruv, if you can read English, they are the most least confusing things in the history of the world. That is what they mean. That is what they mean. I think you're saying they're confusing because you, Sir K, and I will address you on this, you're one of my haters. You're very negative in every single stream that I do. However, it's no echo chambers. You notice how we keep you here? I don't go, oh, I'm going to block him because he's negative. What kind of weak, what kind of weakness is that? Thank you, Ice Cube, here for your super chat. It means a great deal to me. But we're going to go to your calls now. We want to know what you're thinking, and I want to know what you're feeling. I want to know what you're saying here. Saul Niguez, where is he going? Smash that like and share button. First call of the day is going to be Man Like Abs. Been a while since we spoke to him. Let's do this. Welcome back to the show, Abs. Long time no speak. Give me your thoughts. Saul Niguez, where is he going?
Hey Terry, how are you?
I'm very, very well.
Yeah, Saul Niguez, funny enough, I don't want him at Man. I wouldn't say I don't want him at Man United. Best suit for him would actually be Liverpool, because obviously Liverpool are looking for a dynamic midfielder because we've got Saul Niguez in our team, and Liverpool, especially them being budget, can get him on fire him out if he works out, sign him next season. So for me, Liverpool makes the most sense for him. Chelsea and Man U for me doesn't make sense from a player's point of view. But I think if I was a Liverpool fan, I would definitely push for that to go through.
A Liverpool fan, yeah?
Yeah, if I was a Liverpool fan, I would say, yeah, let's get Saul Niguez, especially if it's for a loan and then for 30 million next year. I think that would be a good shrewd business for them.
Yeah, no, listen, I think Liverpool have a much bigger need for Saul Niguez than any other club in the top 6. They just do, the big 6. They've got this gaping hole in midfield. That you've got the Ox and Naby, you can't rely on them not getting hurt, not getting injured. And I think they need it massively. The problem is, I mean, this loan deal should present an opportunity for Liverpool to come back in my opinion. If Chelsea can do a loan deal, if Man United can do this loan deal, so can Liverpool Football Club. And I do think it's a player they want to invest in. I'm a little bit like yourself. Do Man United need the player in terms of right this moment, do Man United need him? Not with No, we need more of a holding midfield player, a CDM type role. However, if we signed him on loan for a year with a non-obligation to buy, am I going to cry about it? No, I don't quite know when and how he plays. Mate, Saul Niguez next to Scott McTominay, does that improve us? Yes. We've got more energy. We've got more legs. We've actually got a better baller. Look, I'm not going to cry about it. I don't know where exactly he'll play. I think Donny gets less game time. I think that's the maddest part about it. I think it pushes Donny further down the pecking order.
Terry,
Go on, mate.
So I was going to say, because you'd say Donny is a Saul Niguez. That's why, for me, for Man United, it doesn't make sense. Personally, Ruben Neves makes the most sense because he can play in a double pivot, he can play in a midfield three, and just suit-wise and fit-wise, I see him fitting our team better than the Saul Niguez. But like I said, it's Man United are going to make the best decision for Man United. But for me, Ruben Neves is an ideal fit, and he's more Premier League proven, so we know what we're sort of getting from him.
Mate, listen, I totally get where you're coming from, and it's one of those things for me where, from a Man United perspective, if we sign him, am I upset? No, because he's a quality player. Do I actually care in my heart of hearts what player he replaces? No, as long as Man United get better, you know. That's just always been my thought, my feeling, and my process on this. Abs, great call as ever, mate. Speak to you again soon. Top man. Thank you. Not a problem at all. We have a little bit of an announcement coming very soon about Friday night on the terrace. We've got a very special guest that is going to be joining us in the studio, and I'm very, very happy about it indeed. We'll share with you in a few moments who that guest is going to be. Just had the update, just had it confirmed to me. So very, very excited to be bringing this guy into the studio on Friday to be one of our main guests on the show, on the panel. If you still want, we are looking for Liverpool fans. We're a little bit desperate for Liverpool fans at the minute. We want to get you in. We want to get you on. So make sure you drop me a DM if you want to join us, especially for the preview side of things. You're getting outnumbered by Chelsea mob at the minute, and they'll dominate it. You don't want to be dominated by the old Chelsea, do you? Right, next on the show, we're going to go to Mo. Mo's a Man United fan. What are you saying, Mo?
I agree with the previous caller, Terry. We don't really need Saul Niguez. We need a Ruben Neves, someone that can. We need a CDM basically. I'll be happy if we get him. He's a great player, but is this going to be Donny Part 2 where we get him on the loan or whatever it is that we just try and we try before we buy, and they just be on the bench? We have to fit in Donny now, Terry. There's no more. We bought Donny Van de Beek for £40 million, and he's been on the bench for what God knows one year, coming up to the second season now. I'll personally get Ruben Neves. I'll get Ruben Neves and just get Ruben Neves and try and fit Donny in. Saul Niguez doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Nah. We need a CDM. We need a CDM. And this season
go on.
And this season for Oli, I've always said it, this season is very important for him. If he can't be like last season, this season has to be general progression of competing for the league. I've been watching his press conferences and his interviews, and they're kind of sounding similar now. It's the same thing over and over again. And, I'm Oli in, but it's now getting to the point where he's kind of repeating himself every time now, where, this needs time, Varane, Sancho. No, man. You need to play them now. Because the pressure, if you don't get a result against Wolves, the pressure it's going to start mounting. Now, football's a funny odd game. It moves very, very fast, football.
It doesn't. Again, we've got, sometimes I try to, when I read these stories, I try to look through the logic. I am putting 2 and 2 together and maybe getting 37. But we don't, the comment from Fabrizio about Donny, us now being linked to Saul Niguez, I believe that there is maybe an option. Maybe we're looking at it from
What is Saul Niguez anyway, Terry? Because I'm not seeing much of him. What is he a CDM or what is he?
No, he's not a CDM. For me, I look at, again, I suppose the modern day phrase for him is box to box. I just call that a central midfielder.
We've got them.
Yeah, we've got them. But the way I would look at it is this. Saul Niguez is better than every other central midfielder we've got outside of Paul Pogba. He is better than Donny. For me, Donny as a sitting midfielder, he's better than Donny in a more advanced role. I think he's better than Saul Niguez. But Donny's never playing in an advanced role while Paul Pogba and Bruno are here. So it's almost that goes out the conversation. Saul Niguez, though, in a double pivot or Saul Niguez in a midfield 2 or a twin 6, he is better than all the other guys we've got, barring Paul Pogba that can play in that position. So there is an improvement there, in my opinion. But I'm like you. I would rather for £40 million, Ruben Neves.
Get Neves.
Because you can play him in a 2 or as a single pivot.
And he's proven as well. I mean,
yeah, I agree.
This is the time, Terry, of not trying to experiment. You don't have the time to experiment no more. It's not like your first season. This is going to be 3 years now. You need to get players in and say, look, boom, get into the team. I need you now. This is not the time. This is not the season where, you know what, I'm going to get Saul Niguez. I'll put him in the bench. Then start bringing him on, this and that. This is the season where we have to see improvement. If we don't see improvement, you know how the fans are, Terry. It's not time for experimenting.
Mate, listen, I totally agree. Mo,
Thanks,
great call. Great call.
Terry.
Thanks for coming on, mate, and having your say. We'll speak to you again soon. Top, man. Make sure that like button is being smashed. We're still taking your calls. We've got Winter Surfer to come. We've got MUFC Tokyo. We've got Donny James all backstage. Simon backstage. We will go to your calls. I want to go back to some of your comments coming through here. No more CDM agendas. Listen, I'd love a CDM. Do I still think Man United can compete for the title without buying one? Yeah, I do. I don't think it's as important as everybody's making out, but I always like to see improvements to the team and to the squad. Starlord here says, I'm not a big fan of Niguez. He is good, but Neves is better for us and probably will be a better player. People forget how, I think you meant how good Neves is. Yeah, listen, man, Ruben Neves is amazing. Equally, like I've said, Saul Niguez and Ruben Neves are better than every single midfielder at Man United, barring Paul Pogba. The irony is everybody wants to see Paul Pogba play more advanced. So let's just take Pogba out of that equation. Midfield-wise, both these players, they're better than Scotty Mac, they're better than Fred, and they're better than the Man United that we have right now. Donny van der Beek, again, I think he's a good holding midfield player. Is he of the level of a Ruben Neves or a Saul Niguez? I don't think so in those double pivots. We're playing double pivot this year for the vast majority of the season, I feel right now. So that's where he's going to be very, very important indeed. I would prefer Ruben Neves, Prem proven, and I know that triggers a lot of people, but I would. I think he can play in a double. I think he can play in a single pivot. I think he can play in a free. He's also a very good free kick taker and got a decent long shot on him as well. I'm not going to cry if we get Saul Niguez, though, because Saul Niguez is a very talented footballer. And let's look at the deal. However, I reiterate for anyone who's just tuned in, I still think Chelsea are leading the race for this player. But then you've got to look at Chelsea as well. Listen to what Dean Jones said this morning. Chelsea could still go for Tchouaméni. If Monaco get knocked out of the Champions League before the group stages, they may go in with a £25 million bid for Tchouaméni. They may be able to tempt Monaco into doing that deal now, forcing Tchouaméni to say, do you know what? I want to go play Champions League football with Chelsea. If Chelsea sign Tchouaméni, they're not going to get Saul Niguez. That might open the door for Man United. There's going to be a lot of business go on in this next few weeks. Next caller on the show, MUFC Tokyo is here with me. Hit that like and share button. Let's go. Welcome to the terrace, mate. Obviously a Man United fan. What's your take on this news about Saul Niguez? You're on mute, by the way, so just unmute that line and give me your thoughts, bro.
Hey, Terry, can you hear me?
Perfect, brother. And where are you, by the way? You look like you're at an airport or something. Where are you at?
Well, interesting story. So I'm actually working for the Olympics and the Paralympics. So I'm at the International Broadcasting Center. So this is from where you get. Oh, yeah. Because the Paralympic opening ceremony is happening right now. We're working a late shift, so I'll finish at 1 a.m. So, yeah.
So the opening ceremony's on, and instead of watching that, you are watching the football terrace. You absolute legend of a man. You legend of a man, brother. What's your take on this Saul Niguez story? It seems to be fluctuating very, very quickly.
So my initial thoughts on the Saul Niguez story was that, as usual, we're just, Man United are being used, as a bait for Chelsea to basically progress the deal quicker. I believe this has happened before, and I mean, we're pretty used to this happening. But personally speaking, as people have already mentioned, I would go for Ruben Neves, considering he's already Premier League proven and all of that. But touching on Donny van de Beek, the thing is, I love Donny van de Beek. When he came into the club, I was ecstatic about it. At this point in time, being a fan of Donny van de Beek, I would rather prefer he moves out of the club and we get someone in like a Saul Niguez. And the reason I say that is because after Donny being here for a full season, if he's yet to make more or less a predominant start or impact in the team, I don't see him doing that this season either. And that's not necessarily his fault, but I'd rather him just go elsewhere and prove himself. And we bring in someone newer. And if we bring in someone newer like Saul Niguez, I believe there's a better chance for Oli to start using him more proactively, immediately, and for him to have more of an impact, considering he'll be playing with Varane in the back, with Pogba, with Bruno, and Saul Niguez himself having a lot of experience. I think he can bring a lot more to the team in the short term. That is right. But as you say, I think Chelsea. Obviously, you know more, but just from the front of it, I think Chelsea have the advantage of it, and I think we are being used as a bait, more or less, so that Chelsea can progress the deal quicker and move on with it. I still think we need a midfielder this season. I kind of disagree with you when you say that we can still win the league, just because it's very pivotal for us. And even if we can bring in someone like Saul Niguez, and if Oli continues to, let's say, play Matic or Fred or McTominay, I'd rather them play with someone like Saul Niguez rather than playing McTominay and Fred together. So in that manner, yes, I would like us to progress and sign Saul Niguez, but I don't see it happening. And I see more of a Ruben Neves or hopefully like a Camavinga, but anyone would do at this point. We just need an extra layer of depth there.
Listen, I don't overtly disagree with anything you've. I agree with most of the points you've made. I always get weirded out by people that don't want our squads to improve. We all have our preferences around what we want. The one thing that I would say though, Ollie's signings pretty much have all been spot on. Like Dan James hasn't quite worked how he wanted, but he cost 15 million quid. Even down to Igalo that was slagged off when we did it. For what it was, and at the time it happened, worked out well for us. So if we go for Saul Niguez, I'm just intrigued to see how we're going to make it work. What I do know is we go back to the game against Southampton. If we had Saul Niguez in the middle rather than Matic, I think we win the game. So
exactly.
we will improve as a team. That there is no doubt about it whatsoever. My brother, thank you very much for coming on, mate, and having your say. I really appreciate it, mate. Great call, and good luck at the Olympics. Enjoy yourself, my friend. That's amazing. So well done to you. Well done to you.
Thank you. Talk to you soon, Terry. Talk to you soon. Thank you.
Smash the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Retweet if you're watching on Twitter. Follow if you're on our Twitch account. But I'm going to reveal to you now who our special guest is going to be. Our special guest is going to be this Friday in the Football Terrace Studios at Unit 7. Let's go. There's some breaking news. Let's go and have a look.
Get out! This club is finished! Finished! How long have I been saying for you to leave? You don't know what you're doing! You're a lost soul, mate! 2 games! Conceded 4! 0 points, and who we got next? Man City! Honestly, I'm sick of it. The performances are terrible!
It's going to be on the Football Terrace this Friday. Don't you miss out. It's going to be explosive. Of course, we've got the big Arsenal Man City preview as well. So really, really looking forward to getting Mr. Watts onto the show to come and have his say. G Watts Rants coming on the show to have his say. So he'll be in the Football Terrace studio on Friday. So make sure you're tuning in to that. The reaction, look at the reaction, pretty good. The reaction there from people. This legend, he will be in the studio on the Football Terrace. Just had it confirmed by my team and colleagues at Snack Media. So I'm really excited about it. Plus, also in the studio, I have to look at my list here. Also in the studio this week, Monstar, Jem, Adam Charles, Daniel's back, Henry Wright, brilliant Spurs fan, Rack for Liverpool support, KJ, David, and Dudes. Dudes is the guy. Dudes, I think he pronounces his name. He's the guy that said that he wants Henry at Arsenal and not Conte. or Luis Enrique, I think he said. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting Friday night on the terrace. Make sure you're tuned in. I've got to do a bit of work on that this afternoon. Time is slowly running out, but let's keep pushing forward, people. If you want to phone in, have your say. Next on the show, Simon is coming on to have his say. Let's do this. Simon, welcome to the terrace, mate. What's on your mind? What do you want to say?
Hi, buddy. Just on the whole, Niguez. Yeah, can you hear me?
It's a really bad line, mate. Not really. It's a really bad line, my friend. Try calling back. It's a really bad line. We can barely hear you at all. It sounds very robotic. Try calling back, Simon. So we're going to go to True Red Devil instead. It's Russell in the house. What are you saying, Russ?
Hey, Terry, what's going on, man?
Yeah, I'm very, very well. Give me your take on this Saul Niguez story. One, do you believe the report from Spain? Number two, would you like it to happen? That's probably even more important. As a fan, do you want this to happen?
So yes to both questions. I'll say I do believe there's a link with Saul Niguez. It's not something new. I think it's something that's been thrown into the waters before in the past and then cooled down a little bit. You've had him, and I say this with a pinch of salt, you've had him really engaging with the Man Utd social media. I've seen him engaging with it quite a lot. And there's always been that rumor, good friends with David De Gea, good friends with Juan Mata. And as a player, I like him, yeah. I really like him because it seems to me, I know a lot of people talking about one DM, but there's no evidence to suggest that that's all his way forward. And as a second DM, as a partnering DM, it doesn't get better than Saul Niguez for Man United in terms of the options that are out there. You know, the players available that we can get. It doesn't get better than him, and it suits the profile of player that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants. So I'm really, really happy with the news, man. At first I thought this was just hype, and then I look at the stories and how it's developed really quickly. Chelsea starting going in for him, and then Man United putting the name in the hat after the weekend as well. Yeah, man, I hope it's true. We don't have that much time left, but I definitely hope it's true.
Yeah, listen, I'm in the same mind as you. I'm intrigued to see where it comes out. Saul Niguez has been a player that I've been crying out for Man United to sign now for many, many years, and I want us to get him. I'll be really, really blunt. I want us to go and get it done. I want us to try and lead the way there, if that makes sense, and get it over the line. But we do need, we've got an update. We've got an update here in relation from Fabrizio Romano. Some breaking news that we're going to go to in just a second, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to bring that to you now. Back with Russell in a few moments after this breaking news. Fabrizio here says Man City are waiting for new bids for Bernardo Silva in the next days. No agreement with any club yet. Aymeric Laporte was offered to Spurs in the Kane deal 2 months ago, but no agreement. Juve are not interested in signing him. A lot of people questioning why City haven't put this big bid in yet for Harry Kane, and I think it could very much stem from and be related to the fact that even City have to sell before they buy in these scenarios to make room, or at least get their buyers lined up. And Laporte and Silva are two players that have been on the chopping block and nobody's come in for them. It's also another reason why I say to people, don't get overtly angry with Man United for not having signed or got rid of all our players yet. Everybody's been struggling, barring Chelsea in this last few days, to get rid of their fringe and squad players. And you're talking Bernardo Silva and Laporte. You're not talking Phil Jones and old Matic. You're talking like genuine quality there. From your point of view, Russ,
yeah.
Where do you see Saul Niguez going, though? Do you think it'll be Chelsea, Man United, or do you think he'll stay in Spain?
You know what? Given the amount of time left in the transfer window, it's just 2 weeks in the transfer window, because I don't think it's an easy transfer to make. Given that Atletico just won the league with them in the midfield, they'll probably try and hold on to him. So if I was to put my house on it, I wouldn't put my house on it. But I definitely do believe that we're in for a central defensive midfielder. I also wanted to just say something, Terry, quickly, that's been on my chest as a Man United fan, and you probably know this more than anyone. I am sick to death, bro. I am sick to death with the bias narrative around Anthony Martial. I'm sick of it, man.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
You know, he had a very bad game, and he's had a very bad season last time. But everything I'm hearing is from the perspective about him is he's been here 6 years. What has he done to deserve being here for 6 years? And it absolutely boggles me. It absolutely boggles me because this is a player who, if you compare his stats to any of our forward line, they're up there. His stats are up there with Rashford's. They're the best forwards we've had in the past few years in terms of the ones who are still at United. Yeah, his end of the stick is totally different from a guy like Marcus. He had a bad game the other day. No one in the media talked about the fact this guy had a twisted knee injury and was out for 5 months and barely started any game. That was his first start, 45 minutes. Has a bad game, as expected. If you've watched football for long enough, as expected, has a bad game. And all I'm hearing now is links to Tottenham. What is this?
Look, I think I kind of feel a little bit like, I understand where you're coming from in relation to people not rating Anthony Martial. I think what's happened to Anthony Martial, is the fact that he hasn't pushed on like people thought. So what happens is when you don't achieve people's expectations. Wayne Rooney had this. Wayne Rooney is one of Man United's greatest ever legends. However, there is still this notion and this element that he underachieved because he didn't get to the levels that some predicted him to. I think that's what it is. We've got some breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Breaking news here confirms exactly what I said this morning on the football terrace. Let's go! As you can see here from Fabrizio Romano, Saul is set to leave Ati. Chelsea opened talks a few days ago. There's an official bid now on the table, loan with buy option. Also, Man United have asked for Saul again in the last 24 hours. He's in the list with Camavinga. He's ready to move to the Premier League. As I said, Chelsea leading the race, but don't discount Manchester United. Said it earlier. Forget how AS said this. I never claimed personally it was imminent to Man United, but I said don't write us off. Dean Jones, the Dean machine again on the football terrace. Bang on. Listen to what he said this morning. United are there or thereabouts. Chelsea are there, but it's on a plate. This deal is on a damn plate for anyone who wants him right now that's got the money. Like Liverpool, he was on a plate for you. You didn't do it. You didn't get it done. Chelsea fans, you must be buzzing because he's leading that race. You're leading that race for him. Saul Niguez. But Man United are still there or thereabouts. Let's see what happens with the situation with Tchouaméni. Maybe if Monaco go out of the Champions League this week, Chelsea say, oh, no, actually, we're going to go in the other direction. But the fact Man United have made the inquiry makes the interest genuine. Wouldn't make it up. I wouldn't lie. But Dean Machine rules again. Tier 1 Dean in the house. Smash that like and share button. Russell, thank you for coming on, mate, and having your say. KJ is with me next, live on the football terrace. Let's do this. KJ, the Saul Niguez news is heating up massively. Massively.
This is very unexpected in terms of, I knew a team would be in for Saul because obviously he had the Liverpool links early on in the transfer window. Chelsea links were starting to pop up. So I thought, okay, cool. One of those teams will get it. Manchester United, it was just loose links to Saul Niguez. But it wasn't nothing to be like, yeah, we feel like it's credible. This has just come out of the blue for me. I thought Man United were finished with their transfers until maybe they sell one or two players. But if United are really and truly going after this deal, no matter who we sell, that is just a wonderful thing to see. It's going to be very interesting to see who ends up with Saul Niguez because by the sounds of it, he is going to leave. It's not one of these ones where he might stay and play for Atleti for the next season, then leave on. It sounds like, he is ready to go. teams are ready to pay for him, and he's going to be on the move. So I'm not even going to be surprised if Liverpool all of a sudden come back in and start putting their hat in the ring. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, this could be the most exciting transfer race of the season, of the transfer window, because there are so many options for Saul Niguez to go to. Like, it's just all mad. And hey, I hope Man United come out the top, because I'm gonna say this now: if we get Saul Niguez, yeah, I would actually play Donny Van de Beek and Saul Niguez together in a midfield pivot. I would.
Mate, I hear you on that. And like I said already, like obviously top of the show, the story was this about Man United having this imminent move. As I said, I didn't believe that was imminent, but I did say this is the problem with football fans. We so want our beliefs to be the story and not, no one's reading between the lines. And what Dean said this morning, to paraphrase him, Niguez is on a plate for Chelsea. All the big clubs have been offered him this summer. Man United are still interested, but Chelsea leading the race. It was there or thereabouts for them. Spots on again. Confirmed now on top of that by Fabrizio Romano. And look, Chelsea are leading, but it doesn't mean they're going to land him in front of Man United, because Chelsea are also looking at multiple other midfield players that they may end up going in for in relation to that. But someone just said he's tweeted again. I don't think he has tweeted again. I think it might I haven't seen a new tweet from him in case anybody else has seen that. I just went and checked now. So that's the same one I showed 5 minutes ago. What he said 3 days ago was Chelsea will decide in the next few days whether to buy a new midfielder or keep an eye out for Saul Niguez. He's considered a possibility, not advanced yet. Yeah, and he just retweeted that, so it's not a retweet in relation to it. But listen, as I say, mate, these things are all these deals are there or thereabouts to happen and to move forward. And look, we'll take a look in a few moments again at what Dean Jones said this morning, because I think it's important to sort of go back over what he said in relation to that. But this deal for me could still go in any direction to a certain degree. If that makes sense. It could go in any direction. Anything is plausible. Doesn't mean anything will happen, but it means anything is plausible. But let's take a look at what Dean said earlier on today. To start with, what's going on with Saul Niguez and his exit from Atletico Madrid?
I mean, to be honest, he's been put on a plate for him, because his agents flew over to England a couple of weeks ago and were just touting him around to all the big clubs, saying, yeah, this guy is open to a move right now. You can see his pedigree. You can see what he's done, the role that he's had at Atleti in terms of getting to where they're at. If you want to sign him, a deal's here. And, they went to United. City actually have been offered Niguez a long time ago. And they ended up signing Rodri actually on the back of being linked to Saul Niguez. So, yeah, Chelsea also were one of the teams that were put to him. And Chelsea are just more interested in it than the other clubs, because they've been looking at their midfield, and obviously there is the possibility for a midfielder to come in. Like I said last week, like I didn't think there would be time to get like a Declan Rice deal done, and I stand by that. Tchouaméni potentially could still open up. Like Monaco have got this second leg game to play. I think it's tonight, if it's not, it's tomorrow. If they get knocked out the Champions League, then they look to cash in, and Chelsea think that they could get him for £25 million, which, to be honest, is an absolute steal and is exactly the kind of business that Chelsea look to do. But if that doesn't happen, then Saul Niguez is there with the option of a loan for the season. And to be honest, I mean, that's a no-brainer. He's an unbelievable footballer. To not have to put money into it, obviously at a time when you're offloading like Ross.
And there we go. As you say there, I mean, a good and solid breakdown as usual from Dean there in relation to what's going on. And it's a fair one on a plate for Chelsea, just as we said earlier on today that was the situation, that was the case. And it's an interesting one for me, because I've been trying to say this for ages to people, like, listen to the headline that we're sharing, that the news is pushing out. Listen to what it is that we've got to say. Interesting here. Another update to bring you. This is from H. Grimes, another person that everyone loves on social. Let's see what H. Grimes has said, people. H. Grimes says, last 30 minutes update and back to work. Chelsea open to sign Saul Niguez on loan, and paying his full wage, but without obligation to buy. Exactly what we said on the Football Terrace it would be 2 days ago. Man United weighing up the Neves alternative and hope Wolves will accept a reduced fee ASAP. United more under pressure than Chelsea. Atletico expect 45 million euros offer after the loan. And listen, I mean, all of that information there from H. Grimes ties in with everything that we've said on the Football Terrace over the course of the summer in relation to the fee for Atletico Madrid. We told you that Liverpool and Atletico agreed to a fee, or agreed in principle to a fee, that it would be between 35 and 40 million. That backs it up again there. United have been looking at Neves. They've been looking at Saul Niguez, and there's no wonder they're still looking into both, because if Wolves say no to a bid and Niguez is there, it's not. I think Neves is ahead of on the pile for Man United. I do, but you can't. You've got to hedge your bets and put things out in that way, shape, or form. So it's going to be a very, very interesting next few days. The window just feels like this morning it's kind of gearing up for the end of the season, KJ. Sorry, end of the window now, to be very exciting indeed. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I feel like we're going to see a lot of moves, a lot of teams finally playing their cards. I think what Dean has been saying recently as well is like a lot of teams have been waiting for the opportunity to strike in hopes of selling teams low in prices. So I think we'll see a lot of activity. I feel like someone like a Jesse Lingard might be going. You will see Saul Niguez go to a team. You can even see like Adama Traore and other players leaving at the end of the window, especially from the top 6 teams, the deadwood players that they've been trying all summer to move on. I can see them finally, quite a few of them finally moving on when the teams relent and be like, we can't afford to keep them. We just have to get rid of them at whatever cost we can get them. So it's going to be really heated up. And Man United in their position between Saul and Neves, they have to make up their minds quick. These are the situations that we've been caught in the past, and then we've just been outbid and outmaneuvered by other teams because we're taking so long to decide on a player. Should we go for it? How much we want to pay? So if this new structure is really to be believed in, they've shown us good signs already with Varane and Sancho. But if you want to keep cementing that belief in this new structure and the recruitment team, you have to make your decision quick and you have to execute it quickly, because H. Grimes wouldn't just like mention Neves if we weren't seriously looking at buying him. So if you're seriously looking at buying him and he's the guy that you want to get, go get him. You know what I mean? Like, go and actually make the moves. The Saul Niguez is the one that you decide actually might be better for us in the long term or in the short term. Just go get him. Like, stop dilly-dallying, stop doing the whole deliberation. Make your decision soon, because teams like Chelsea, teams like Liverpool, Man City, when they are ready, they will get a player that Man United want. So that's my say at Man United. They just have to make up their mind quickly and execute it.
Mate, I totally agree with you on that. I really, really do. We're going to take some more of your calls very soon. We have a super chat here that says sometimes it's good to have a big squad, but also can create issues. I don't think Chelsea need him because TT got some good signings in central midfield, use youth. I think that's why the Saul Niguez deal works, though, because it's going to be a non-obligation to buy. And it gives Chelsea one extra option. It gives Chelsea the option, if they can't get Tchouaméni, and I think they're going to try to get Tchouaméni. If that can't work out this summer, you take Saul Niguez on loan, and then next summer you go, right, do we keep Saul Niguez? Do we buy Tchouaméni? Do we bring Billy Gilmore back into the fold? Or do we go all out for Declan Rice? It puts Chelsea into a position where, by the way, they're leading the race for Tchouaméni. They're leading the race for Declan Rice. And they're currently leading the race for Saul Niguez. Chelsea have put themselves into the most perfect situation possible. I mean, idealistically, they would like the asking price for Declan Rice to be much lower so they could go and sign him. But that isn't the reality of the situation. The reality of the situation is they can't get Declan Rice this summer. It's almost impossible to negotiate that deal now. But I do hear what you're saying there. Aaron said that's a BS super chat. We do need a central midfielder. And I do get that point. Simon here says Atletico Madrid want to sell Niguez. So if it comes down to Chelsea loan deal or no guarantee buy clause, Man United with... Yeah, you're right here, Simon. If Man United probably came in and said, actually, forget the loan, we'll buy him now 40 million quid, Atletico Madrid would probably not accept Chelsea's loan offer. Where that could become difficult, though, is this way around. Those bids don't happen until players agree. If Saul Niguez wants Chelsea more than Man United, it then becomes a Fugazi issue. Doesn't matter what Man United offer to Atletico Madrid if the player isn't going to accept. Atletico Madrid just want him gone. So the personal terms element that's done via the agents, that's done before bids goes in, that's the new advanced. We keep getting the club negotiating the fee when a player wants to be sold is a piece of piss to a degree. It's all about what does a player want. If Saul Niguez says, I am up for Chelsea, I want to go Chelsea, if Chelsea convince him that that is the destination for him, it becomes very precarious for Manchester United. Equally, in the other side of that spectrum, if Man United, if he's like, listen, if I'm up for joining both of you equally, just go work the deal out with Atletico, then Simon, your view there, I think, becomes absolutely on.
And also, like, even say if Man United don't buy him permanently now, if they insert some kind of buy clause, whether it be on appearances, whether it be obligation or option, I think that would entice Atletico more than Chelsea's non-option to buy. So there is an opening for another team to come take this deal forward. Like, I don't believe it's 100% Chelsea's to lose. I just feel like it's very open, and all it takes is a team getting closer to what Atleti would want, and then they're the ones who can secure the signature. So it's going to be a very interesting battle. And question, Terry, Man United have been spewing the whole, there's not going to be any more signings, we have to sell players before we buy. Do you see the world where Man United potentially do a surprise on everyone and actually secure a midfielder and maybe a right back or two midfielders or something? Do you feel like that could happen, or is it legit this is only an opportunity that is there to be taken, so that's why they're doing it?
It could happen where we buy players without selling. If we do that, it's a telltale sign of a complete change in approach. I understand why publicly we've dug our heels in for the last few weeks and not made any moves towards our signings, because people that want to buy our players are doing the same thing. So it does become a battle of attrition. If Man United can't get rid of Lingard and Matic, I'm just throwing two names out there as examples, and Phil Jones, but we still want that right back and central midfielder, I would be shocked if we did it, because the Glazers have no history of sanctioning buying players without selling on a regular basis. To do that would be astronomically, it would be a watershed moment, an astronomical moment, a watershed moment for Manchester United post-Fergie. It would demonstrate that we're buying the players the manager wants, even without selling people. You know, the whole no value in the market, we've got to sell before we buy it changes that narrative. I get why we're pushing it right now. It makes sense. Can it happen? Yes. Will it happen? Only time's going to tell. Should it happen for a club our size with our money to eat that loss year one and then move those players on? If we really want to challenge for titles, we should be doing it, because Man City would do it. Maybe not. Man City have done it before. Chelsea have done it. You know, at times that have they've bitten that bullet a little bit. And I think we maybe need to look at that as an example. But on right backs coming into the club, here's another update. By the way, we're going to get Tom Little on to speak Liverpool in a minute. Here's another update from Dean Jones earlier on today. A lot of people are asking about Kieran Trippier to Arsenal. Take a look at what Dean had to say about this situation.
Still pushing to get out the club, and they're in for Kieran Trippier, which seems like a waste of time to me personally, and from what I'm told, because one, they don't want to go near his current valuation. I think his release clause is something like 34 million. They don't want to pay that. But also, Man United are interested in Kieran Trippier. And if Trippier does leave Atletico, he wants to join Man United. He doesn't want to join Arsenal. So it is genuine interest from Arsenal in him. And they are looking to see how close they can get to finding an agreement. But yeah, they're not going to go as high as 30-odd million. But ultimately, even if they were to settle, say, I don't know, I'll make up a figure, say £23 million. From what I'm told, Man United would probably match that, and he would join Man United. So,
I mean, that's a really interesting update again from Dean there. And it makes sense as well. Like, Man United have wanted the player all summer, but they've been trying to... I mean, I was thinking about it afterwards, and I'm like, Man United are doing a little bit of a rat and the ox here. Let Arsenal do all the hard work negotiating the price down for Kieran Trippier. and then jump in at the last minute and just match it and take him. I mean, that would be perfection. It really would. We're going to bring Tom Littlewell now to have his say with me and KJ. Hit that like and share button, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go. Tom. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. And you?
I'm very well. Did you see the breaking news about Liverpool's transfer window earlier today?
Yes, I didn't want to, but we all knew it was happening. Next summer FC is back, and we're ready for it all over again.
Yeah, that was the breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, again this morning from Dean Jones. That essentially, Liverpool are probably not going to do any more business this summer, and it's all about next summer and a big deal coming in next year. The Saul Niguez deal, though, this is of interest to you because you agreed a fee in principle with Atletico Madrid many weeks ago. You've had a number of conversations with the Niguez camp, and you've not been able to finalise personal terms. The fact that he now might join Man United or Chelsea, how frustrating is that to you as a Liverpool supporter?
Massively. If Chelsea get him, there's the missing piece to their midfield. You've then got 4 world-class midfielders, you could argue, all rotating in an already strong team. If United get him, that's a DM problem solved. No more Fred. No, you get a world-class player to fill in that midfield, to play behind Bruno Fernandes, to play behind Pogba, to play behind Van der Beek, and you're just so much stronger. And we're sat here going, James Milner will do. We got him playing back up in 4 different positions, but he'll do for us. It's just...
Do you know the bit that would stand out to me that I would be like really pulling on hard if I was a Chelsea, a Liverpool fan, is what I was told. Like with a lot of people, what I was told is that what you were struggling with was the fact that you couldn't get the wages down. But if Chelsea and Man United can do this as a loan deal with a non-obligation to buy, that negates that problem. I mean, you were looking at a 5-year deal, 12 million a year. So you're looking at 60 odd million pounds in wages plus a 40 million fee. It was a 100 million pound investment. But now you could get a deal which would probably cost you, say, 5 million, 6 million for a year as a try before you buy. There's no need for Liverpool to walk away from this now. Like, there's legitimately no need for Liverpool to walk away from this. Do you think they will, though? Do you think you've been sold a little bit of a dud?
100%. I think it's been and gone. I think we're just focusing on getting new contracts in. I mean, we've just got Andy Robertson tied down to a new contract, which is good. But we're just focusing on getting new contracts in and trying to shift the deadwood. But there'll be it's an opportunity missed because this is a window where there's a lot of movement and a lot of players are looking to move on. And, you know, clubs can't really ask for what they are normally valued at. And it just seems like we've taken advantage of one, but not the rest. I mean, we've been crying out for a midfielder. Gini Wijnaldum, we knew Wijnaldum was gone since last January, and yet we've done nothing on it. An attacker, we've sold Shaqiri, and we're sitting there going, 16-year-old Kai Gordon, never played a professional game in his life. He'll be a good backup. He can get some minutes for a title-challenging team. It just doesn't make sense.
Mm. Do you know what's really interesting about it as well? Like I shared this in the group chat when I was told that Saul against the Liverpool was like about to be done, and because I got a little bit bitten by my Jules Koundé situation, I didn't go with it. I just sat back and waited, and it appears that week that his reps were here, and I know a lot of people, his reps already live in England. Well, one, they don't all live in England. Like the agency he's with, they have reps around the whole of the Europe. So like highly likely that his reps are the Spanish arm of that agency. But anyway, Liverpool had the chance to do this, and it must be frustrating the fact they sat there doing it. Edward said, Saul will be a good third choice for Chelsea midfield pivot. Good loan deal if it happens. Penny pinching dippers, lol, is what's been said there. Listen, it's going to be an intriguing one. I think, like we've said in a lot of the build-up games, build-up shows to the Prem, if Liverpool don't get injuries, they're fine. It's if Liverpool pick up injuries that the problems are going to ensue and that they're going to kick in. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, everyone who's tuned in today, a massive thank you to each and every single one of you. I'm sorry I didn't get to more of your calls. I know so many of you waiting backstage, and I apologize. Just so much to go through. We're back later on today. More updates for you. Big Arsenal news coming as well. I've got the team putting their feelers out, looking for confirmation of a big situation revolving the sacking of Mikel Arteta and a potential replacement. Join us later on today. Retweet if you're watching on Twitter. Like before you leave here on YouTube. Follow if you're watching over on Twitch. But until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless.